Tell me, Ron, why you believe so strongly that adoption records should be open. There's a lot of controversy about this because so many people are involved, and it is a very sensitive topic. But I know that you feel very strongly, along with many, many other people, that the records should be open. Tell me why.
Well, if we look at the law as it exists, Nova Scotia has taken a step forward. There's no question about that. And the law now allows information to be released if you pay $250 and if the birth mother or birth father agrees, or if, I suppose if it's a mother looking for a child, if the adopted person agrees.
If the other side gives consent.
If the other side gives consent, it's okay. And that works for those people. But there are people out there for whom it does not work, and the law does not cover them, and neither does Nova Scotia law meet the standards as set down by the United Nations Charter on the Rights of the Child, which Canada has signed. Nova Scotia government has confirmed to me that as far as they're concerned, they do meet the requirements. But they don't, because as long as you have to pay for information that is your right, and as long as there's a veto of information release, you have no right to know who you are. And that's what the UN Charter says. The child has the right to know who it is, who its parents are. So it's a violation of human rights as far as you're concerned? As far as I'm concerned, it's a strict violation, a pure violation of the human rights. I think that for myself, I would like to know who my biological parents were for information purposes. There is a danger, and I would warn adopted people to watch out for this in themselves, of feeling, as long as I can find out who my parents are, I'll know who I am. And I don't think that's true. I think that you can end up very disappointed if you go at it that way. Regardless of whether you're adopted or whether you're not adopted, you still have to do the work yourself as to finding out really who you are.
So it may answer some questions, but not everything.
Well, yes, and it puts you in an awfully vulnerable position of happiness is out there.
Yeah.
And happiness isn't out there.
It's right in here.
It's here.
Yeah.
Security is here. Identity is here. Now, there's no question, people who are not adopted start the work a long way ahead of those of us.
The work that all of us have to do is what you're saying, right?
But if you're adopted, you're starting way back because of enormous deprivation.
Just that much more ground to cover.
Yeah.
Just let me stop you there for a moment. We have another caller on the line. We had Anne from Dartmouth. Anne, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to go ahead and speak with Ron?
Yes, I would. Co-founded Parent Finders of Nova Scotia over 20 years ago. And I found my birth mother at that time in 1976. And even as soon as I knew what her name was, I had a feeling of more completeness.
Yeah.
And certainly finding her, meeting my grandparents, and looking at people to whom I was related, gave me more sense of myself. But I'm not disagreeing that that's not the be-all and end-all. However, I still don't know who my birth father is. And he is the other part of the equation. I'm very much like my birth mother from what I have been told of her, and I've seen her, and I know my mannerisms are almost identical. But there's another 50% of who I am that I know nothing of, and that's still a big question for me. I know that he was, I believe, a pre-med student or a medical student around 22 in 1952. I believe his father may have been a lawyer. I've been told he worked at a drugstore in Digby in the summer of 51. Other than that, that's pretty general. Yeah. And so there's still that question, and neither he nor I are getting any younger. And it's still, do I look like him as well as like my mother? Do I have any of his mannerisms? Do I have any other half-brothers and sisters? Would he want to know who I am? There's these questions that we have as adoptees, and they're in no sense of the equation. Am I looking for a daddy or someone to take the place of the father who raised me? It's just the questions that you have, and I agree, it is a question of human rights. Mm-hmm. Everyone else in the world is allowed to know the good and the bad about their birth family. Mm-hmm. But because we're adopted, the government feels it has to protect us, and it's very patronizing. Absolutely. And infuriating. to be told that, oh, there might be something in your background that would be unpleasant and you can't handle that, dear.
Yes,
Give me a break.
Who feel that way.
I agree with you.
And look at the people that go to the archives and research their family trees. They can go back generation after generation after generation. But we as adoptees are told we can't go back one generation.
No.
It's discriminatory.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap this section in. I really appreciate your calling in, and best of luck in your search for your dad if you still are searching.
Yeah, yes, I am off and on. But I would also like to say that charging money is appalling.
Ron feels the same way.
I feel the same way.
That it's a violation, again, that's identity, or that's information you should be privileged to have.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for raising this issue again to keep it before the public.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. We're really pleased to hear from you.
Bye-bye.
Adoption reform. Is it time to open up adoption records? Are you an adopted child looking for a birth parent? Maybe you're wondering about a child you gave up many years ago. Please call us with your thoughts, questions, or comments. The number is 902-481-4441. We'll be right back after this break.
I can't believe they only gave me 7 seconds to